Excuse me, you guys. Happy Friday. Welcome to Fill Up Friday Live. For some reason, y'all, I can't get myself right today in the camera, but it's okay. It is Fill Up Friday Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time watching, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Drop in the comments. Let us know that you are here. We want to welcome you. Hey, Barbara, you made it. I'm so excited that you are here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys, if you are catching the replay, please be sure to still comment, to like, to love it. I always go back and watch and read the comments so that I can respond to you guys as needed. So we're just giving some of our Fill Up Friday faithfuls some time to come on. If you would like to be a Fill Up Friday faithful, the only thing that you have to do is join us every Friday night right here at 8 o'clock p.m. So you may be new and you may be asking, what is Fill Up Friday? What is Fill Up Friday Live? Well, Fill Up Friday is a time where we come together to pretty much reflect and to dissect our week, to talk about what we filled up on, to encourage other people that maybe were not able to fill up, that maybe they feel like they are running on empty. And so it's really just a motivational and encouraging time for us to spend time together. Make sure that we are full for the duration of the week. Lots of times we give so much during the week, whether it's to our family, whether it's to our job, whether it's to the community, and it's nothing wrong with giving, but we have to make sure that in our giving, we're also filling up so that we are not running on empty. We put gas in our cars to make sure that we are able to, that we're able to drive. And so we have to do the same thing with our body and with our lives. We have to give it the fuel that it needs so that it can run smoothly. We take care of everything else, right? And we take care of everybody else, but we want to make sure that we're also making ourselves a priority. So as you also, good afternoon, Diva of All One. Welcome. I haven't seen you on before, so welcome to Fill Up Friday Live. I think that might be Lynette. I'm not sure. If it is, welcome, welcome, welcome. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We try to start right on time, but we also try to give people time to get on the live to find out that we are live, so that we don't miss anything. Begin to drop into the comments what you filled up on this week. And if you didn't fill up on anything, let us know, what did you feel like you needed that you were not able to get. And by the end of the show, if you're running on empty, we hope that you are full. Yes, it is, Lynette. Hey, girl. So we have two new folks watching tonight. We have Barbara Williams and we have Diva of All One. So we want to shout you guys out and we want to welcome you to Fill Up Friday Live. There's some other folks watching that I'm not sure of. If you're comfortable, go ahead and jump in the comments. Let us know that you're here. If you just kind of want to play the background tonight and see what it's all about, that's awesome too. But we hope that next week that you are participating, that you're commenting. But most of all, we hope that you are full when you leave tonight. So, Fill Up Friday Live. I am your host, Mrs. J. Spire. We've been doing this for a while. The first thing I want to do is I want to do a couple announcements. The first thing is, if you missed Real Life, Real Talk with Toshiba Rice on Saturday for our Saturday Sit Down series, you missed a treat. So go ahead and go back on the page, go in the video. We just did it on the 27th. Saturday, sit down. It was awesome. It was an amazing show. We talked about some real life topics. We talked about relationships. We talked about some self-care. We talked about grief. We talked about healing. We talked about freedom. It was an amazing show. So if you missed it, please go back and take a look at that. We are also starting a new series this month. It's going to be airing on June the 24th, and it's called Men Talk 2. If you have been following our show, then you know that we have a lot of women on the show having real talk. We have had some men, but the goal for this year is to have more men on our show. Why? Because we need to hear their voices. Men are very important to our families, to our relationships, to our communities, and their voices are important. So on June 24th, 9:30 a.m. for our Saturday sit down men talk to. That's going to be starting this month. So stay tuned so that you can meet our guests. We are so excited about that. And that's hopefully going to be running for the rest of the year. Hello, team. Welcome to Philip Friday Live. She is one of our Philip Friday faithfuls, and Lucy's on as well. And she is one of our Philip Friday faithfuls. Christy just jumped on. Hey, Christy, another Philip Friday faithful. Again, if you're just coming on, the only thing you have to do to be a Philip Friday faithful is to join us every Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. So if you so we also talked about what we're doing this year. We are doing our 5-year anniversary. It will be 5 years in August that we have been like really like doing Jayspirations on Facebook, on our online radio show, and we recently added YouTube. So thanks to everyone that's watching on YouTube. But we will be having our 5-year anniversary. I know when we talked about it before, we talked about actually having that anniversary celebration in August. But since then, some of the dates have changed. So the event is probably going to be in October, which gives you guys some more time to plan, to make sure it's on your schedule, and most of all, to get your attire ready. It is going to be formal and semi-formal wear. So no jeans, no t-shirts, no dress down. We are going to get dressed up and we are going to have a good time. I can't wait to share all of the details. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, begin to drop into the comments what you guys filled up on this week. So I know sometimes usually we start by reading what we posted all week, but I don't want to do that this week. I didn't post a lot. As you know, we are transparent here, and if God doesn't give us something to post, we don't post. Everything that we post is what? Very intentional. But some things that, well, first of all, I will talk about what we posted on Monday, because what we posted on Monday is, I remember days when I didn't even want to get out of bed. Lord, I thank you. Right. And that was a miracle Monday. And so oftentimes we are looking back in the Bible, and we're looking at all the miracles, right, that Jesus did. We're looking in the Old Testament, we're reading our Bible, and we think that the miracles that he does, that it is past tense. We read about, what he did. And so we don't often think about that every day that he's doing things for us, and that we are walking miracles. And so Monday I was just thinking, and it just came out of nowhere. I was just thinking about how far I have come, and just thinking about where I am. And you may have those days sometimes too, where you're just sitting and you are reflecting on how far you have come. And sometimes we think it's a big thing, and then sometimes we minimize it and we think it's just so small because, But as I was thinking about how far I have come, how far God has brought me, remember we said we don't want to necessarily look back. We just want to think back and just think about the goodness of God and all that he's done. And that's what I thought about. And I thought about God like I am a miracle. It is Miracle Monday, right? When we posted, it was Miracle Monday. And I am a miracle. You are a miracle, because we have gone through so many things in relationships, with whatever. We've gone through it, and we don't have to compare what somebody else has gone through to what we have gone through. There's no little I've been through or no big I've been through, right? It's whatever you have gone through. And you are a miracle, and you have to see yourself that way, right? Miracles aren't past tense. It's right now, right? The fact that there were days and there were weeks, right? And there were months that I didn't want to get out the bed, right? That I was thinking, what do I have to get up for today, right? Just feeling so bad or feeling so low. And to be able to think back on that and know that even now, when I have those days, I just think about the goodness of God and how far I have come. And so then I just pop right up, right? And so it has to be mind over matter. And God gives me the strength to do that. So I want to encourage you tonight that you are a miracle. Some of us have had, trauma. Some of us have had illnesses. Some of us we've had loss, whether, it's a loss of a relationship, loss of a person, loss of a job, a house, a car, whatever it is, right? And just know that you are a miracle, because even with being in that space or being in those spaces, because sometimes it's not just one thing, right? It's more, that's happening at one time. But just know that you are a miracle. Know that God keeps doing miracles. He's not a used to do miracle God, right? He's not an Old Testament that's where only thing you can do is read about it. He is a right now God, and every day he's giving you the opportunity. You are a miracle. So I definitely want to tell you that. And we actually didn't post anything else this week for our daily post, but that's okay, because this week I filled up on the topics from real life, real talk. I was able just to reflect on some of those things as well. So one of the things that Toshiba said, she talked about the new no. And we've talked about being able to say no before and not feeling guilty about it. And this week, I had the opportunity to say no to something that I probably would have said yes to before, right? I would have said yes before to pacify someone else. I would have said yes before to keep the peace, right? I would have said yes before because that's what someone would have expected me to do. But this week I said no, and I didn't give this long explanation and try to explain myself. I simply just said no. Right? Why? Because it wasn't the best thing for me. I put myself first because I knew that saying yes was going to put me, or it could potentially put me in a space that I didn't want to be, a space that was not healthy, right? A space that was not conducive to like me feeling well. And so I said no, and I felt really good about it, right? And then what happened is my old self tried to revert back when the person addressed it or said or came and I thought they were going to address it. I already started putting my guard up. And then when this person started talking about something else, I spoke out on it. And then one of my friends looked at me and said, "Why did you say something?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean? Why did I say something? I had to say something." And she was like, "No, you should have just let her talk." And this is a person that I'm constantly encouraging. And so you may have seen today where I posted the teacher became the student. And because in that moment, I learned a lesson. I learned that I can't pour into people and tell them certain things and then do the opposite when I get into the same situation. So the fact that it's this person that's usually quiet and sometimes she's a little timid because she usually wants to keep the peace. And I'm usually like a little rah-rah with it, right? Where I'm just like, no, I'm going to sit. And she was like, no, you shouldn't have said anything. And so she put me in that place of thinking about that new no, that I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to ask a lot of questions or give a lot of information. The new no is what we call like the permanent, right? So where we're not allowing ourselves to talk ourselves into it or allowing anyone else to talk ourselves into it. We're simply saying no, and that's what it is. And so I filled up on being able to do that. Hey, Velvin. Velvin popped on. And she says amen to no. And so the other thing, while I was reflecting on the fact that I was able to say no and I was able to mean it, something dropped right into my heart. And I was like, God, where did that come from? Right? Because sometimes you don't think you're smart enough to think of these things that pop into your mind. And like that's me sometimes. I'm like, God, where did that come from? But he's put things in me, right? And God dropped into my spirit today. Y'all know how I prepare for this show. I just wait for God to give me what I'm supposed to say. And what he told me today was there is a difference in making a sacrifice and being a sacrifice, right? And that's a shirt. I wish Don was on here. That's a t-shirt. So Lucy, go ahead and write that down somewhere. There's a difference in making a sacrifice and then being the sacrifice, because people will tell you, you just have to sacrifice. Sometimes you have to sacrifice and you just have to do it. Let me tell you about that word sacrifice. Yeah, sometimes we're going to have to do things that we may not want to do, right? But then there, and so sometimes it's those small things where, well, I can sacrifice 5 minutes, or I can sacrifice this, this $15, to do this for this person, or maybe to support this person, or to give to this person. But then we have to remember that, yeah, sometimes we make that sacrifice, but we don't have to make ourselves that sacrifice. And that's where it comes in. No, right? Being no. And then Toshiba also said positivity, selfishness, positive selfishness is what she said, right? And I took that to say that, of course, when I say we're practicing self-care and we're taking care of ourselves, don't let anyone say that we're being selfish. But that positive selfishness means not sacrificing yourself, right? Not we want to do what's good for others, but we don't have to sacrifice ourselves so that someone else can get what they need. And someone may say, well, wait a minute, Mrs. J. Spire, that's not what you teach. No, it absolutely is what we teach, because we have to take care of ourselves, and it has to be self-preservation, right? Because we also always say, I can't take care of anybody else if I don't take care of myself, right? And I don't like using like rote phrases and things like that, but I'll say it. It's like the blind leading the blind, right? And I don't really like saying stuff like that, but I'm trying to figure out like how to explain it. If if we're a parent, we don't have a lot of food, right? Then if there's two pieces of chicken, then yeah, I'm going to give my child the biggest piece, and I'm going to take a small piece, right? So that I can just make sure I maintain myself. But if there is enough, right, then I'm going to take what I need as well. And that's the thing. Don't sacrifice yourself where you're not getting what you need. So, and don't not eat anything. You can eat a smaller portion so that you can give your child the larger portion, right? But if you never eat anything, not even a small morsel of it, then where do you get the nutrients and where do you get the strength to be able to go out and even get that small portion? So we have to take care of ourselves. Yes, make sacrifices, right? Because sacrifices are needed, but don't sacrifice yourself to the point that you can't help yourself or the person or people that you want to help. Right? That's just like when I was talking to my son this week about making sure that he knows how to do certain things for himself, because there's going to be a time, I don't want to think about it, he doesn't want to think about it, but there will be a time where I may not be here, right? And not even may not, I mean, he could be 60, right, when it happens, right? But the thing about it is, I need to be able to do things for myself so that I'm able to teach him. So I have to keep learning things in order to teach him, right? And so if I don't teach him anything and I do everything for him and I don't give him any responsibility and any accountability, then when I'm no longer here, the sacrifices I made, who did I make them for? Because he's not going to benefit from them. Because so I may work harder, I may work later, I may make more money or whatever. But if I haven't taught him what to do with the money, if I haven't taught him how to save the money, I haven't taught him how to cook the food, then what is the purpose of having the food? Right? So make a sacrifice, but don't sacrifice yourself in order to make it good for everybody else, because it's really not good. That person or those people, they may have reaped the right now benefits, but what happens in the long run, right? And so that's what I'm telling you tonight. When God dropped that in my spirit, we can sacrifice, but don't sacrifice yourself. Don't be the sacrifice. So that's what I wanted to encourage you guys tonight. Just make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are saying no when you need to, right? I know there's some of us, we don't like saying no. And so if you don't like saying no, okay, that's fine. But when you have to, because I know we're helpers, right? But when you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to mean it. As the young folks say, no, and then it's period, right? That means it's done. It's the end of that sentence. We're going to go on, right? Because if we don't put that period at it and we just keep writing, then it's a run on, right? And so it just keeps going and going and going. But put that period at the end of it. And that is self care. It's not being selfish, it's using wisdom, and it's doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. Because after all, we are miracles, right? And because we are miracles, we have purpose. We have purpose here in the earth that God has given us. He's given us a responsibility, He's given us an assignment, right? But you're also your assignment. If you don't take care of you, then you can't take care of anybody else. So that positive selfishness, that new no, that not being a sacrifice, those things spoke to me this week. And I'm glad about it. And it's because I know that I'm a miracle, right? I know that my mind could have told me to stay in that bed and waste away because I didn't want to get up, right? But God says, no, get up, arise, right? Get up and do what I have called you to do. And I'm purposeful, right? And because I'm purposeful, I have to take care of myself in that way so that I can be healthy. Toshiba talked about, and I don't know if she necessarily said it on the show, but we talked about it after the show as we were wrapping up. We go to the dentist 2 times a year to get our teeth cleaned, right? We go to the doctor at least once a year for a checkup to make sure that everything's well, right? So it's the same thing with our mental health, right? With our emotional health, to making sure that we are healthy. And sometimes saying no, it helps us to stay healthy. If you've been following me for a while, sometimes you hear me say, my brain was cluttered today. It was so much in my brain. And it's because sometimes I don't say no and I don't allow myself to rest, right? Because I feel like I have to do everything. Most of you probably feel like you have to do everything, and you don't. Because when you're no longer here, who's going to do it? Things are going to fall apart. And that's not what we have. We have legacy to leave. And legacy is not just money and houses and cars. Legacy is a mindset, right? Legacy is wisdom. Legacy is leaving, having your vision to continue when you're not here. Legacy is all the things that you taught the people that you love. Those are where memories are made and where things just keep passing down. We spend so much time passing things like generational curses down and things like that. Those things get passed down. We don't want to let those things go, right? But all the other things, the good things that's healthy and that's good for us, we just want to keep doing it, and we don't want to tell anybody else about it, right? We take it with us to the, to wherever, right? But no, let's pass. We have legacy. There's things that we need to be passing down. We want to get rid of those generational curses, and we want to pass down things that are purposeful and things that are needed and things that are wise and things that are good, right? And in order to do that, we have to have healthy mental health. So I love you guys. I don't like to call out names because sometimes I miss people. So I just want to tell you guys thank you so much for watching tonight. I see the big giveaway jumped on again this week. So thank you and welcome back. But I want you guys to have an amazing weekend, right? I want you to think about what you have not been prioritizing that's important. And I want you to make it a priority this weekend. And to be honest, it's probably you that you have not been making a priority. Make yourself a priority so that things can start to move a little smoother, right? So that your head can be a little clearer, right? And I promise you, if you start to do it, you will start to feel better. You will start to look better, And people will start to see the difference in you. And not only will people, but most importantly, you will begin to see you will be able to see the changes in yourself. Right. And that's where it starts. Like, you have to want to see the difference, and you have to work towards something. Listen, saying no this week, hey, it gave me a little bit of pep in my step, because I was like, I don't want to do it. That's not good for me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it to pacify everybody else. And then I got in the car today after work, and I turned on the radio. And if you know me, then you know I'm a huge Ty Tribbett fan. And Ty Tribbett was on the Willie Moore Jr. show, and they were playing all of his music. So I jumped in the car, and the music was on, and I turned it up real loud, and I was hyped. And his new song, I think it's Only One Night. If you haven't heard that, go ahead and listen to that. Only One Night. So it just talks about things, if you're gonna cry, then go ahead and cry, but only one night though, right? If you're gonna be sad, those are your emotions, go ahead and be sad, but only one night. And so he was just, the says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning, right? There's always joy when we wake up and we open our hearts to it. And so I was listening to it, and I was bopping, and I was all into the music. And then Willie Moore Jr. started talking to Ty Tribbett and asking him questions. And he was saying, you are so, you're so different, right? And he started talking about how he had just really grown he had grown out of religion, right? And he'd grown out of all the tradition and just the church stuff, right? And that he had really grown and matured into relationship with God. And he said, I'm not the person that I used to be, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to go back. And that spoke to me so profoundly, because, if you've been following me, you hear me say, I'm not the same person I was a year and a half ago, a year and 8 months ago. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not the person I was 20 years ago. And I'm so thankful, because I don't want to go back to that person, because I feel freer, right? And I feel brand new in my mind, right? Because of the things that cluttered my mind so much. And even over the last year, like, I've just been dumping things. And what he said, I feel better because I no longer live for everybody else. And I ain't gonna lie, I almost had to stop my car, and I had to almost jump out of it. I want to make sure I said it right, because I wrote it down, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna need to say something about that. He said, no, actually what he said was, can you guys still hear me? Because I seem like I'm buffering a little bit. If you can hear me, just drop in the comments really quickly that you can hear me. I just want to make sure. Y'all hear me? Only one night though. Yep, okay, y'all can hear me. So what Ty said was, and I'm now want to say it the correct way, I was paraphrasing. It was so profound to me. He said, I love people, but I don't live for them anymore. And that sounds like something that we always say, right? Like, I don't live for people. Like, I make my own decisions. Most of the time, that's not the truth. Most of the time, we're not making our own decisions because we're worried about what people think, how they think, why they think it, what they know, what we think they know. And when he said that, I love people, but I don't live for them anymore, it touched me, because I have actually gotten to that place, and to be at that place, and I still have a lot to work on and a lot to do. But when he said it, I was like, you know what? That's me. I am not the person I used to be, and I don't want to go back. And I love people. I do, because people will try to say, well, if you love me, you would do this, or if you love me, you wouldn't do this, or if you love me. But I genuinely love people, but I don't live for them anymore. And why don't I live for them anymore? Because my relationship with God has changed. It has increased. It has strengthened. It is strong, right? And going through some of the situations that I have been through, I have to realize that when I'm trying to, because I love somebody and I'm trying to live for them, that means I'm not living for God, because most of the time, what people want you to do, what you want to do, and what God wants you to do, most of the time, they ain't matching, right? Because we're trying to people please. And because I love people, but I don't live for them anymore, and that relationship with God has strengthened so much, I have a freedom that I haven't felt before. Still need to get a little more freer. Is that a word? Absolutely, I do. But I'm striving every day to do what He tells me to do, right? So that I can always walk in freedom. Always. We can't allow other people to put us in bondage with the way that we move, with the way that we think, with the way that we grieve, with the way that we go to church, with the way that we pray, with what we wear. Like, those things are bondage, and we have to have boundaries, right? So think about that too. Love on people. You can love on people, but you cannot live for them, right? Because what happens when you're not here, they don't know what to do. When they not here, you don't know what to do. We need to be taking everything to God first. Every single thing. Listen, God has been so good to us. We're going to go back to Monday, Miracle Monday, to close this thing out. You are a miracle. We are walking miracles, because it could have been us, should have been us, would have been us if it wasn't for the grace and love of God, and for Him allowing us to be here one more day to live out the purpose that He has given us. We have not even seen the iceberg. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you live. I don't care where you work. I don't care what you drive. We have not seen anything yet. People say the sky's the limit. I say no, the sky is not a limit. There is no limit. Because there is no limit to what God can do, there is no limit. So ask God to continue to allow you to walk in wisdom, to walk in obedience, and to walk in vision this year, right? There is only one way. It's up, but there's no limit to how far that we can go. I love you guys, love you guys, love you guys. Continue to pray for Jayspirations Live. Again, we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary in August. We are so excited about planning and what we have to offer. What we have to offer you guys. We are so excited about it. There is going to be a cover, but listen, what you're going to get and what you're going to pay, it's not even going to match, right? So we'll be sending out the save your date as soon as we get everything locked in. It is going to be in October, so just 2 months after that actual 5-year mark. But we are excited about it, and most of all, we're excited about everyone who has been supporting Jayspirations Live since August 2018. And Toshiba done snuck up on here, right? We're just talking about the show, so I hope you heard some of it. And you guys, there have been so many people who's been texting, and I've been in conversation with people about how the show went on Saturday. It was an absolute blessing. Again, if you were not able to watch it live, please go back on YouTube or on Facebook and take a look. Toshiba Rice was our guest. The topic was real life, real talk. We had awesome conversation, and it will bless you. So I love you guys. Just go ahead and mark out the whole month of thank you, Sister Barbara. Go ahead and block out the whole month of October, every Saturday in October, until we confirm which Saturday, right? So I don't want y'all to have nothing to do. I don't want y'all to have anything to do until we book that October date. So excited. It's going to be right here in the beautiful city of Norfolk, Virginia. And so we have some awesome things going on. It's going to be a party, y'all. It's going to be a huge celebration. Why? Because God has been good to Jayspirations. And Pastor was talking this morning about, like, if God isn't in it, then it's not going to work, right? And so I'm thankful that He birthed this in me, right? And I'm thankful that He is my foundation, and He is the foundation of Jayspirations. I'm talking about God, right? Because that's what Pastor was saying this morning. If God's not in it, it's not going to work. And so I thank God that I know that God is in it, because it is working. It has been working for my good. I know that it's been working for your good. Jayspirations, it saved my life in 2021, in 2022, right? Because God had birthed it in me. And even when I tried to run from it because of all the things that was going on in my life, God just kept bringing it back, bringing it back, bringing it back. And Jayspirations has been a sense of healing for me. It has been a sense of freedom for me. And I've talked to a lot of you all, so I know it's been a sense of freedom and healing and good conversation for you guys as well. Listen, we said that this year we're going to walk in wisdom, obedience, and vision, right? And when we walk in that, again, the only way that we're going is up because God is in it. So I can't wait. And as we've been planning, there have been people who's been saying yes to us. And even when we started to talk about certain things, they're saying, no, I want to do this and I want to do this. God, they have been pouring into me. And I know I know they're pouring into me because of God and because of my yes, right? Because of my yes, people are saying yes to me to be able to make this an awesome event. So I love you, love you, love you guys. I will see you all next Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Come on back. Come on back and become a Fill Up Friday faithful every Friday right here on Jayspirations Live. Do something good for yourself this weekend. Do something good to fill up. Sow into somebody else as well if you can. That could be a smile, it could be a text, it could be a phone call, but just let somebody know that you're thinking about them. And you know what? When we do that, it becomes a reciprocal, right? They start to think about you more as well, and you're on their mind and they're on yours. All it takes is a text, a phone call, a messenger in the inbox just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Let somebody know that you love them. And you know what I say, love on yourself. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I love you guys. And as always, be Jayspired.